Hey, what's going on everyone? How you guys doing today? Welcome back to another new video. And in today's video, we're going to be taking a look at a build for the Hunter. And today's build is going to be an art build that's all about spam grenades, dealing a bunch of jolt, and also utilizing an exotic you guys probably haven't even heard about or thought about this season. But yeah, today we're finally doing it. We're actually making the DARCI build. Now I actually did try my best to make this into an actual usable build, not just a meme. So, hopefully you guys ended up liking it. And I tried in some endgame content and it performed a lot better than I expected. So this build may actually surprise you. And if you guys are interested in using the DARCI or just seeing how this build does, then hopefully you guys enjoyed today's video. And if you do, remember to like, subscribe to the channel in case you guys haven't already. We're going to be doing some wacky builds here towards the end of the season, so you definitely don't want to miss them. Also follow me on Twitch if you want to see me play Destiny 2 live, including testing out these builds. That's usually when you see them first. But now let's get into it, and let's get into the build. And first let's start with our two exotics. So first of all, for our exotic weapon, of course it had to be the star of the show, and the whole reason why this build is actually happening, the DARCI. Now the DARCI got a couple buffs this season, but they are more aimed towards making this into a sporting weapon. So they essentially made it into a Galahorn buff for snipers, but it hasn't really seen like too much play. What we're really going to be using the DARCI on this build though is because of the targeting acquire perk, giving us just a ton of jolt. Basically every time that we have the personal assistance perk active, it's going to give us increased precision damage as well as letting us jolt the target. So we could technically jolt with every single shot of our DARCI as long as we have personal assistant active. And the way to activate that perk is actually pretty simple. All you have to do is just aim at a target till like it glows red with that outline around it, and that means personal assistant is active, meaning that you're gonna get the extra damage as well as the jolting. And that's really the main thing that we're looking for. We're just gonna be jolting pretty much everything we run into. Bosses, mini bosses, champions, even just regular enemies. Just wait for that personal assistant to be active, and we're gonna be jolting lots and lots of targets. Now for Sodic Armor, we're gonna be on the Lucky Raspberry, and this is because it has some pretty good synergy with just jolting a lot of enemies. Every time that we jolt targets, it gives us back grenade energy, and whenever we collect ionic traces, it will also give us back grenade energy. So we can actually get so much grenade energy just because of all the jolting we're gonna be doing with this setup. We have jolting from our DARCI, we're gonna have jolting from our primary, our grenades are gonna be jolting, meaning that we're just gonna be spamming as many grenades as we can. And the Lucky Raspberry is also another one of those things that aren't really used much, so I wanted to combine these two things and hopefully make them work on the arc class. Now for our Subclass, we're just gonna be on regular arc. We're gonna be using a lot of jolting and hopefully also a lot of bolt charging. So regular arc is just like the best class that we can actually go with. For your super, I think Gathering Storm or Arc Staff both work pretty well. It doesn't really matter which one you go with, just go with the super that you like the most. For our grenade, we're gonna go with the Arc Bolt Grenade. It's the only thing that works with the Lucky Raspberry, and it's gonna give us all those benefits as well as giving us back that grenade super fast. Now for the aspects, we're gonna be running Ascension plus Flow State. Ascension is gonna give us a very easy way of jolting targets and also amplifying ourselves, meaning that we're always gonna have that increased damage resistance from amplified, while at the same time just constantly jolting targets. So this is just going to give us more jolt to the build so we can continue getting our grenades faster and also building up bolt charge, since every time we kill jolted targets, we're going to get a bit of bolt charge thanks to one of our fragments. And our second aspect, Flow State, is going to give us back our class ability very quickly whenever we're amplified. And since we're always going to be amplified thanks to Ascension, it just means that we're always going to be getting it back faster, while at the same time having greatly increased reload and just giving us a bit more damage resistance whenever we dodge. Now this fragment is going to shine whenever we get up close and personal, which is whenever we run out of DARCI ammo, because as much as it pains me to say, you are going to run out of DARCI ammo if you use it as much as possible. Now for the fragments, you want to go frequency. This will make it so whenever you're amplified, you get increased bolt charge stacks. Discharge, so whenever you get a final blow without an arc weapon, you create ionic traces, and also collect the ionic traces gives you bolt charge. And we're going to be making lots and lots of ionic traces, meaning we're constantly going to be getting bolt charge. You also want to go with ions whenever we defeat some jolted targets or targets with bolt charge. We're going to get some ionic traces. And lastly, you want to go with Spark of Shock, so our grenades can also jolt targets. We're going to be spamming lots of grenades out there, so we want to just jolt as many targets as possible. And for the final fragment, you could actually go with different ones. I ended up going with Spark and Beacons, meaning that every time that we're amplified, which is all the time, anytime we get a kill with our weapon, is going to be doing a blinding explosion. This actually works really well if you have a special weapon that's arc, or if you want the DARCI to have a little bit more usability, or if you want to add even more utility to the DARCI, not just the jolt, but also a blind on top of it. It can actually be very useful, so I definitely recommend this one. But if you don't like how this one's playing out, you can change this for whatever other type of fragment you want. Now for the weapons you want to pair up with your DARCI, you basically use one of the arc weapon in your energy slot. It could be a primary or a special, it doesn't really matter as long as it's an arc weapon with either a bolt shot or jolting feedback. Basically it's giving you another way of jolting more targets, and if you decided to go with a fragment that also blinds things on special ammo kills, then something like the Indebted Kindness can be amazing. Now for the artifact, these are the ones that you want to go for, pretty much all the arc ones. Flashover to increase your damage on your bolt charge, Dielectric because it's just like the best arc mod this season. Every time you kill debuff targets, you're going to get bolt charge, and since we're going to be always debuffing targets with either the blind or the jolting, it means we're going to be getting tons of bolt charge essentially for free. And if you boost it, it makes it even better because it's going to give you a very easy way of healing every time you kill some arc debuff targets, and also a way of making tons of orbs. Elemental Siphon gives you even more ionic traces, and also gives you a bit of extra super energy so we can spam more supers when it's boosted. And then you want the ammo ones like Gold from Lead so you can get some heavy whenever you pick up special, and also Dreadful Finisher, so every time you finish a powerful combatant, you're gonna get special ammo for you and your teammates. And the special ammo from this can actually proc Gold from Lead to get even more heavy. Of course, anti-barrier sniper, so the DARCI can actually break some barriers. And lastly, let's take a look at the mods that we're running on this build. We're gonna have Heavy Ammo Scout, Harmonic Siphon, and Heavy Ammo Finder. We just want to get as much heavy ammo as we can, and also whenever we get some multi-kills with our arc weapon, we make smorps. For our gauntlets, we want to go with Grenade Kickstart, so we can just throw more grenades out there. Firepower, so every time we get a kill with our grenade, we make orbs. And also Fastball, just so we can throw the grenade a little farther. For your chest piece, you basically use one of the resistances. Make sure that you match this to whatever the threat is. I think this time it was Void, so that's why we have Void, but this would change depending on what you're doing. But you also want to have arc reserves, especially if you went with a special weapon that's also arc, so you can carry more ammo. For the boots, you want to go Absolution so you can reduce the cooldown of your abilities, Recuperation so you can heal every time you pick up an orb, and also Harmonic Scavenger so every time you pick up a brick, you get a bit of extra ammo. And lastly, for the class item, we actually didn't really have that many good choices here, especially because we are going to be using our Ascension as much as we are, and a lot of these mods down here just don't work with Ascension. So we just ended up going with Proximity Ward, so you get an overshield every time you do a finisher, and also Empower Finish, whenever you don't have any armor charge and you do a finisher, you're going to get an armor charge. And that's pretty much it. We don't really want to go utility kickstart this time around, since we're going to be getting our class ability back so fast already. And we're mostly going to use our armor charge on Grenade Kickstart, and that we can't like mess with that. But that's pretty much everything. You guys pretty much now know the whole build, so you can get into the GMs, you can get into any activity, and start using the DARCI. Now the gameplay loop for this is going to be very simple. You activate your Amplify just so you can get your damage assistance, and then you start shooting things with your DARCI. Make sure that you proc Personal Assistant, so it can actually do the jolting. Make sure that you throw your grenade as much as you can, and every time that you get a hit with the DARCI, you should be jolting a bunch of targets, and whenever you get some kills, you should also be blinding a bunch of targets. It surprisingly makes the DARCI into a pretty good athlete weapon, which is kind of weird to say for a sniper, but it also does some pretty good damage against some champions sometimes. Not all the time, because it is a low impact sniper, but you do have a lot of shots that you can get through, and with all the things that we have giving us a bit more ammo, you can definitely use it a lot more often. It is definitely an interesting build, and while I wouldn't really recommend it for like super high-end content, it is definitely a very nice, fun build, and in some of the lower power GMs, some of the easier GMs, you'll definitely have a fun time with this, and you can tell your friends that you're putting on your DARCI build. But hopefully you guys enjoyed today's video, even if it was a little more different than usual. We're not going for like the best, most meta builds anymore. We're basically at the end of the season. We might do a couple of those for like the right on the 9, because I know a lot of people are going to try to look for some builds to get back in there. So we might do some of those next week. But besides that, I think it's gonna be some fun builds for the rest of the season as we head into Frontiers, which I'm really excited about, especially with some of the armor changes. I think it's gonna be pretty cool. But thank you for stopping by, thank you for watching. Like always, there's gonna be the link to the build in the comments below, and also in the description of the video, in case you guys wanna try out this build. And if you do end up trying it, make sure you guys come back here and just tell me what you think about it. Do you liked it? Do you not liked it? Will you make some changes? All of that in the comments below. And hopefully you guys had a good video. Hopefully you guys have a good rest of your day. And I'll see you guys in the next one.